Welcome to the VMJPod's Employer Brand Series. I'm David Macciocca, and this time I'm joined by co-host Will Innes. Together, we'll dive into the strategies and stories emerging from Brisbane, with lessons that help you build credibility, scale impact, and deliver results.
Welcome to VMJPod. We are unpacking employer brand in this series. I'm David Macciocca.
I'm Will Innes, and we're joined by Steve Bousfield from Atlassian. How are you, Steve?
Very well. Thanks for having me.
Not at all. Looking forward to getting into this. Different perspective on employer brand again. This time, I think our lens really is yourself as a talent acquisition professional. It's your lens on employer branding, how it forms part of your role or how it doesn't, where it fits in. So we're going to unpack some of those questions today, if that's good with you.
Absolutely. It's certainly going to be a perspective.
It's going to be a perspective.
It is a perspective.
Steve's perspective
on employee branding.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to start with a sort of bigger brand conversation. So working at a very well-known organisation has its pros, I'd imagine. Lots of companies say, well, my employer brand, no one knows our company. A lot of people would know your company. So there are going to be some pros. What's a quick summary of pros and cons of recruiting for a brand that's so well known? I'm presuming it's well known because I know it.
Yeah, well, I've heard of it.
Is that true?
Yeah.
And what are the pros and cons of that?
The pros is that you've got a foot in the door with any candidate that you reach out to straight away. If you're doing proactive sourcing, you knock on the door, they have heard of you. The cons of that would be increased pipeline of applications that aren't necessarily the right fit, but if you're out there saying you're hiring en masse, everyone turns up and says, oh, well, I've heard you're hiring, can I have a role? And, it has to be the right profile.
Yeah. Well, I suppose, there was quite a public PR piece, I can't remember how long ago it was now, a couple of years, where you had a van out on the road. Yeah. And is that a sort of case in point of loads of interest? Is it all the right interest and for the right reasons and those things? Yeah,
that was great. That was on our journey to 25,000 employees. It was a lot of fun. Certainly drew a lot of interest to us, as a listed company. It gets the brand right out there. And led to a lot of interesting conversations with candidates on the streets as well.
I bet.
Yeah. A big part of that, though, was around driving home one of our core messages around working from anywhere, right? So you can be based in Northern Territory or, Perth or Brisbane, not just, Sydney and Melbourne.
And that's true.
Yeah, 100% it's true.
Yeah. So that is a nice subtlety to the marketing play to say you can work anywhere. If you're a talented person, come and join us.
Yeah, absolutely. And it really ties in nicely with our product as well, right? Which is productivity software. So we're able to talk the talk and walk the walk with, how we hire and how we use our software as well. So yeah, that worked pretty well. A lot of interest, a lot of candidates we had to speak to. People from very diverse backgrounds rocking up and asking if they've got a job. We were mostly looking for software engineers at the time. So if you weren't quite a software engineer, we'll have a good conversation and maybe put you on the pathway of this is where you want to get to before you can come in.
It's good context to this conversation because there's some terrific initiatives that businesses can introduce that are out there. And that's definitely one. But what's the impact of employer brand and recruitment marketing that can make a terrific impact day to day? What's in the toolkit? And I'm really looking forward to unpacking that. But before I do, I'm interested to know, are you a believer? Do you believe in the benefit of recruitment marketing, employer branding?
100%. 100%. I'm a big believer. I've seen it work in action. I use it on a daily basis, those materials, whether it's top of funnel, engaging, or retaining that talent in the funnel as well with your silver medalists. I am a dead set convert to it, sign me up on that church.
Okay. So we understand that it's a bunch of rubber bullets that knock someone over, but if there was a silver bullet, if there's someone starting from scratch and you're a recruiter, there's no assets. What's the first asset you would ask a recruitment marketer or an employer brander?
I think it would probably be the one that I'd ask for today, still starting from scratch, and that is a good day in the life video or asset, where however you want to do it, around what it's actually like to work in that environment, that talks about the mission of the organization, what the office environment, if there is an office environment, looks like, and what the team members that you could potentially be joining as well. That's the best thing. It would drive the right talent to you. Yeah.
And which part of the funnel would that be used in?
Say two parts of the funnel, really. It helps at the top of the funnel in the early doors section of it as well, getting people interested and talking about the brand. But I also think it's important before an interview as well. Because
before an interview?
Before an interview, yeah. So people that are in the process understand what they're going to be signing up for throughout that interview process. So you can use that video to kind of demystify what the interview process looks like in that organization as well.
Interesting.
So a big thing for you, I'm putting words in your mouth, authenticity.
And transparency.
Because that's what you're drawn to, just like the foundational bit. I mean, David gave you a magic wand, and said, what's the one thing you couldn't do without, or the first thing you'd want? It sounds like useful. It's almost practical. It's an insight into the window, which is genuinely authentic, and people can go, yeah, I like that, or there's something about that I don't like.
Yeah.
So something in that is quite practical in a way.
Is there an actual reason why it is important to show what it's like to work at Atlassian, to demystify what it's really like? Is
that a perception reality type thing?
Yeah, candidates always more engaged with transparent, authentic content anyway. So if they
don't believe recruiters?
Why wouldn't you? Well, why wouldn't you? Why would you believe a recruiter? Everything's great.
Show you this one.
Yeah, come here. Everything's great. No, I've lost my train of thought with that one there. But it's important to show what the teams are. If you're a candidate, say you're looking for a role, right, and you've got this perception of a certain organization that it's X, Y, and Z, you see a video saying it's A, B, and C, maybe it will help self-select candidates out of that environment. At the same time, it will resonate with those that are attracted to that mission or the engineering work, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
So that's what I think is key, and that's why it helps so much.
Yeah, I resonate with that from the perspective of both sides. If I had if I had it both ways, so you guys are sitting on top of the hill. Everyone knows Atlassian, especially in the engineering world. Like who hasn't? And so who wouldn't want to receive a phone call from a recruiter representing that logo? And then on the other side is you've never heard of this business before, but you're doing some really cool things. You could use that asset in both scenarios, and no one wants to fit something in that just doesn't work. You don't want to be recruiting for that role again. So what I'm hearing is that that's a really important part of their journey to really learn what it's like to work at the company.
Well, firstly, I just have to pick up on something you said there. I definitely do want to be recruiting for that role again, or else I don't have a job. But I know what you mean. I mean, on volume though. So if you're talking about engineering, for example, I want to be recruiting lots of engineers.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but you don't want to be. You don't want people to be leaving because the expectation isn't aligned.
Yeah.
So attrition is a number. It's an important one. And that could be really helpful. Just with that one asset to set the scene is, hey, we're on a journey here. You're being invited for a first interview. Yeah. You've accepted. This is really what it's like. You can back out at any moment. And this is probably a point that you should back out because this is a very realistic expectation of what the role's going to be about.
Oh, it goes exactly the same with the interview process as well. So you can talk about the environment and the work that they'll be doing and all the sunshine and lollipops and rainbows that go along with working at an organization like Atlassian. But I think it's equally important as you move down that funnel to have assets, videos and content around that interview process. Now tying it back into what you're saying just before. You need to be very transparent. For example, an engineer going through the process with Atlassian will go through 5 rounds. 5 different rounds, technical and behavioral style interviews, and you need to be upfront with someone. And I had a conversation with a candidate just last week on Friday that is completely passive, never been out looking for a role, so 10 years of experience with 2 organizations. I know, and I've just okay, I'm not looking, Steve. Well, do you just want to catch up for a coffee? Sure. So you start that top of that funnel conversation being proactive, but at some point you're going to go, right, well, look, if you did want to go through this is what you can expect to go through this process. I'm not going to ask you to enter it, but if you ever wanted to challenge yourself and to see whether you could make it through.
Nice. I see what you've done there.
Yeah. And the response I had was, actually, well, I've got nothing to lose. Look, let me take think about it, and I'll come back to you. And
So the conversation that you're having with that candidate in setting the expectation with him about that interview process, do you have something that you can also send to him to reinforce the conversation that you've just had on a web page
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a few different assets depending on, for that particular candidate, we've got like micro sites on the Atlassian careers page that will go through what our interview process looks like, maybe some trial questions, the values,
like
interviews,
FAQs, stuff like that.
all FAQs and stuff like that. So you direct them there. We also have assets that we can send out, preparation guides. So this is the first step and this is the first pillar. This is what we're going to be looking for.
What to wear, how to represent yourself.
Yeah.
Those sort of things.
Maybe less about what to wear because we're really casual, right?
How to get to the office.
But you would do. Yeah. All those sorts of things. If I wasn't at Atlassian, I'd have, this is what to wear, how to find us, all that. But if you're Zooming from home, then maybe there's probably a little bit of content we could probably do there about that, actually. I think that is on the website, but in terms of backgrounds and stuff. But I think it's good that people show up themselves.
What you're trying to do is get the best representation of themselves.
Level the playing field.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sort of where I'm going with it.
Yeah. It's about leveling the playing field, allowing candidates to be their best selves in that interview. And it goes back to demystifying the interview process. If you know exactly what you're walking into, those anxiety levels are going to be reduced, right? You know what you're going to answer and all those things, because we've all been in this for a while. You may have candidates that are an amazing engineer, but they can't interview. There's one-word answers. They don't know what to do or how to expect, or they don't know about the STAR methodology, all this sort of stuff. So if you can arm them with that stuff up front, they're on the same playing field as your seasoned. I just switch jobs every 6 months. So I know how to interview and how to get through this process. So
that's also really about like setting people up for success and wanting to get the best out of people, which in my mind just linked me to thinking about, so we've talked a little bit around the assets that you have, like the enablement from the employer brand.
It is sales enablement.
Yeah, so it's an enablement piece. What about as an experience? So you talked about setting people up for success to level the playing field. Are you using the employer brand to think about almost design principles for the experience you want to give people? Like, is there a personality or a feeling that guides how you want people to experience Atlassian through the recruitment process?
Yeah, you need to have tailored personas for the different job families.
Okay, so you go that route.
Yeah. But not only that, it can also be impacted by geographical boundaries as well. So the content that we may use in APAC could be slightly different to what we use in the EU, and certainly again what we use in the Americas as well, tailoring that message to the specific job families or personas in those locations as well. So it needs to be tailored. It's not a one size fits all.
This episode is brought to you by Video My Job, introducing the fastest way to turn employee stories into multi-channel content. One video now instantly becomes branded blogs, quote cards, social posts, and more, all perfectly formatted for the channels you use to attract and engage talent. And the best part, zero editing required. Record once, repurpose everywhere. Book your demo at videomyjob.com and experience the new era of employee content creation.
Yeah.
And then you touched on silver medalists, and I love the concept of a silver medalist because just because they came second doesn't mean they're no good.
Yeah.
They're very talented. They just how are you supporting or sharing content with that particular person to make them feel comfortable that they can apply again?
Yeah. Okay. There's a few different parts of that. So if it's a one-off role, that silver medalist would keep it. We would probably be a bit more proactive internally of trying to find them another position with another manager as well. That's the first step. But I think from more of a broader sense, it would be a case of ongoing communications in terms of updating them with the roles. I think the personal touch from recruiters is essential as well. The email letting them know that they're still on their minds as well. But you can automate a lot of that stuff, and employee branding can help you and does help us with those ongoing messages. For our volume roles, though, that's slightly different. Once you've passed our interview process and you've been given that seal of approval, you are a hire at this level for this job family with Atlassian, you're essentially we have more of a one pipeline model. So the next role that becomes available, it'll be more of a team match style call with that hiring manager.
I like that. It's a bench. You've created like next cab off the rank.
Yeah, it's certainly a little bit like that in product and in engineering as well, and a few other different job families.
Yeah, and you're keeping them warm.
Yeah.
And that's the responsibility, not just with the recruiter, but I'm assuming there's some sort of automation there.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why it's really important to have that loop between employee branding and recruitment, which we've got really nicely. So we can provide our recruitment marketing teams or employee branding, whatever you have, with that feedback from candidates as you go. So we've got silver medalists here. This is the challenges we're facing. We want to keep them engaged. They'll help provide us with those materials in order to do that. But there's other things that we can do and do as well. Engineering nights, for example, to engage with that community, to get them in there, have AMAs with the business as well, all those networking type events, keep them close, let them know what's going. One other thing I forgot to mention though, if you're a silver medalist, right, I think it's very important that they have actionable feedback around why they were a silver medalist, or every candidate should get this. I think it's really important. Now, I'll go down a rabbit hole with
No,
this,
but I think it's important as well, and I think that's a phone call, right? Or is that a message is it an automated message that goes up?
No, not at all. It's definitely a personal touch. Every candidate that comes through Atlassian's process that has an interview, I should say, will get feedback as to why they did or didn't pass. And the feedback I get on that feedback is always been, this is my anecdotal, here, is always really positive. We want those candidates to reapply. So I'm not just talking about silver medalists, everyone, like keeping that funnel. Because in 6 months' time, refer others, absolutely. But perhaps they didn't do it this time because it's a challenging interview or nerves or something happened to them on that day. We want them to come back into the process to do it again. And I know many candidates that didn't pass on their first try. Come back, right? And these are the things that you could have done better. This is what went really well. And these are the improvements you could make next time. This is where you fell a little bit short here. Them getting that, I think it separates us as an organization from many others when they really hear that tangible, not just that generic, sorry, just missed out. Well, why did I just miss out? I think that's very important.
So candidate experience of the brand, you want it to be good. So you're appreciating your role there, acknowledging your role in terms of perception, how the market sees you. Because the feedback on, I met this guy, Steve, it wasn't great. And actually the detrimental value longer term to your reputation as an employer is not good.
Yeah, you don't want to be going around telling your friends that Steve's a terrible recruiter.
Which I wouldn't.
I don't want to deal with him. I don't want to apply for any roles where he's at. Yeah.
I was thinking. I've met you once or twice now.
Yeah.
And
I'm sorry. You survived.
You survived. Yeah, but one of the things, without looking like I'm sort of blowing smoke type thing, but you've got you're a charismatic person. Okay, and you got some good banter. I'll say that, and I'll stop now.
Okay.
But you got some good banter.
Keep going.
I just wondered because we're interviewing you now. We're currently with Atlassian.
Yeah.
You worked for other organisations. Maybe you've never thought about this, but how do you balance your own personality with things like the employer brand and going, I've got to represent this brand? Do you find it alters your personality? Are you aware of how you're coming across and how that may influence the brand? It's a bit of a theoretical question, but I just wondered.
I love that. It's really interesting. I think I was hired based on giving authentic answers in the interview process. So I hope the people that hired me know what they're getting, when they take me on. And I try to be as authentic, being professional with candidates as possible. I think I build stronger rapport that way, and I can have those uncomfortable conversations a little bit easier. They know it comes from a place of trust. I'm being authentic. I'm being myself, and I'm not going to bullshit you either. If you didn't get through, I'm going to tell you why, and you're going to come out of the other. Even if you do pass, I'm actually going to tell you these are the areas that were identified as opportunities for you to learn from as well.
He's representative of the employer brand at Atlassian.
No, he is completely.
Yeah.
So, but I'm really interested because I think you touched upon something else a second ago, which was how you as a frontline representative of the brand.
How mindful are you of the employer
brand
and
how
the
you
language
show
you're
up?
using?
But you also said, you get first-hand, like if the employer brand team were telling you, this is a really important message right now in the market, and you're saying, well, but whenever I speak to candidates, they're not. So you're giving real-time feedback on what's landing and what not. So there's a really symbiotic relationship, right?
Can you give an example of that?
Of the
relationship,
or have you given some insights back to the employer brand team about messages that are landing or not landing?
Yeah, absolutely.
In a constructive way, of course. You might go, actually, I've just got this insight. Can you do anything with that?
Or I'm missing this asset. I really need this because this would be really helpful.
Or need some messaging around this.
Yeah, there is a cycle there, and there is a consistent feedback loop of what we need. But also, it's in their best interest to provide us with the latest messaging from the organization, whether it's related to OKRs, certain products. AI is a huge one at the moment as well.
What's your stance on AI as an engineer? Like, I'm assuming you might get that question
all the time, right? AI is the hot topic. We can't have a conversation without someone dropping AI in there. But even we could talk about what is AI. But anyway, we won't go there. We'll save that for another podcast, another conversation. So here's one for you. Should you be able to use AI in an interview? I'm going to turn this around on you chaps, actually.
Sure.
Should you be able to use AI in an interview if you're allowed to use it in your job? Now, what do you folks think about that?
Well, I think if it is an exercise on doing something, I would be leveraging AI to assist. And in that instance, it's perfectly fine. If I am using AI to answer a question, I think that is unacceptable.
Yeah.
And it's not a true representation of who the person is. So I think it has a role in the interview process. Yeah. That's my stance.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm not getting into any of the specific conversations that we're having at the moment about it, but it is a conversation we're having. Could AI be used in coding rounds when you're going to be using it anyway in coding, but it's got to be done in an ethical way and still be able to understand what an individual's ability is as a programmer, right?
How is it being used as a programmer? AI is programming code. Because I've got engineers, and let me tell you, we would be AIing our code if we could.
Yeah. Well, you definitely can. I don't code, right? But I know that you can automate certain lines of code. You can go in there and then you can look at it.
For test
you can
cases,
do it. Test,
but you can't.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not very good at writing algorithms. In fact, it's horrible.
Well, you haven't used Atlassian's AI.
Hey, we said no product place. We said no product. I was just going to maybe take us back.
Well, what's your answer?
Yeah.
What's my answer?
Yeah, you can't get out of this.
Oh, look, I'm not an assessment expert. My general view is that I think you need to be open and transparent. I think the behavior around it is what's interesting and the skill around it. Because if you say, right, I've used AI to generate this response. Cool. That's fine in a way, because if that's how you normally behave. But if you're testing for like critical thinking, you're like, so how did you get to that? Do you understand how you got to that? And if they can articulate an answer. So I think there's a mixture of like mindset, your personality, and showing that you're being transparent.
Yes.
And showing what skills sit around that. Because you're right, people are going to be more and more AI enabled.
Correct.
So that's kind of by the by. But how do you use it? Why do you use it? And I'm interested to go, if how are you intentionally using AI here? And if someone gives you the answer, well, I've researched all the tools, I use this for here, but I'm really conscious that if I use it too much, I lose here, here, and here. Go, great. You've thought this through.
Yes.
You've been thoughtful, intentional, and you're clear on your principles and beliefs. So I think your answer would give so much richness.
Hired.
You've got the job. There's three things, right? So firstly, I've just thought of something like when you're in some of our coding challenges. Well, I don't know if I can go out or not. Whatever. Like you sometimes know. Like I've had the feedback where candidates have started typing their line of code and then it auto completes for them. Right. That's a form of using AI. Fill it in yourself for now. Right. Where I get a little bit of a question mark over it. If you're in an interview, a behavioral-based interview, and you're typing in the question and then you're reading the AI answer, we're not going to learn any insights about you and your critical thinking and about how you handle situations like that. Likewise, if you've been asked to do a case study, and this is not unique to Atlassian case studies for anything,
really standard,
and then you've gone and got AI to write your case study, it's not. You've asked it to do it's like me, like back in the day, going to Encyclopedia and Carter, and handing that in for my homework. It's not the same.
You're basically getting someone else to do the work.
But you can get AI to review it and make suggestions and make changes to it based on your original content. But
we'll be open to I used it for some thought generation, but then I applied the context of what I've learned, and this is where I've ended up. Cool. We all understand where it's coming from.
So given that this is a pretty hot topic, we can talk about this for a little while.
Yeah.
Have you asked the recruitment marketing or employee brand team to have a documented view that you can use to be able to share with a candidate?
Around AI?
Yep.
Yeah, it's at the moment, we're reviewing it, but, do not use it at this time. So if you're setting up your IDE, you used to do the coding rounds, don't have any AI tools going on at the moment. So at the moment, it's a no. But let's see what happens in the future, right? Because it's going to become part of your role.
But you've not only you verbalizing that to a candidate, you do have
preparation materials. Yeah,
you do.
Yeah. So our sourcing team that mostly guides the candidates through those first 2 rounds or first 3 rounds will tell them don't do it, etc.
Yeah.
So it's there, it's documented. They know not to use it, and if a candidate does use it, they're deselecting themselves if it gets called.
You've made it clear what your rules are.
Made it clear, yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to. You touched upon something a minute ago, which I'd like to go back to.
Okay.
Which was about. The impression I got was that almost like an operating rhythm between the feedback loop you mentioned between recruiters and the employer brand team, and how you may give them some insights.
Yes.
And kind of what messaging is resonating right now. Is there a cadence to that? Is there a practice? Is there a tool you might use?
Yeah,
is there anything you can sort of just explain that a little bit?
Yeah. Okay. We do have regular employer branding updates in people team town halls where, TA, branding, HR, whoever it might be, will give their update. This is the latest tools that we have, the latest messaging you need to use. We also have this tool called Confluence that is an amazing depository of information where a lot of the things that we need are located, messaging that we can tailor, and personalize and send out as well. So if we've got a company-wide LinkedIn post that we've done something, or we've got an AMA happening or something like that, you can go get those tools, put it on your LinkedIn feed to drive eyeballs and attraction and all that sort of stuff. So that's there. It's a regular one. We also have personal relationships with employer branding as well. So if you see stuff, if you're hearing things from certain candidates that are positive or maybe not so positive, to actually speak to them and ask them for advice on how to handle those situations.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
How often do you want to speak to an employer brander or not?
I want to speak to them when I have an idea more than anything. I think the messaging, they're proactive in the messaging that we need to be able to do our jobs well. But if I would like to do something maybe localized or what have you, then I really want their engagement then and their assistance, and to let them know they don't have to do as much work for it. But here, this is where I want to get. What are my parameters? What can I say? What maybe I can't say? Or where should I steer the conversation, really?
It's similar to a question I asked you earlier, but I'm interested in when I asked you about like bringing your personality out.
Yeah.
It's how much, employer brand team gives you some messages and maybe some sample posts.
Yeah.
How much latitude or trust do you have to just kind of operate within a framework and post something on social media? Like, is it quite strict at a brand that's so tight, or do you feel as though you're actually quite empowered to, within reason, kind of post what you want, and you're trusted to know
it's common sense.
Parameters, the common sense,
the common
piece,
sense
right?
side of things.
Is that win out? Is that the simple rule?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Common sense. Be yourselves. Be authentic. That's my personal brand. It aligns with Atlassian's values, right? So this is why I was attracted to the brand in the first place. I like their values. It was a good fit for me. So I think you're entrusted. We're all adults, common sense there as well. I wouldn't take it any place otherwise, really. I think it makes sense. But it's difficult for me not to post something with my own spin or edge on it as well. So
but you do get some organisations where that feels actually more restrictive.
Yeah.
So I think that says quite a lot for an organisation that's kind of like, well, we trust you. Trust first. Let's treat you like an adult.
Yes. Well, one of our key values is don't fuck the customer, right? And I'm a customer of employee branding.
In those exact words.
Go check it out. Don't F the customer,
classic.
but
That's great.
Open company, no bullshit is another one of our values as well, and they really resonate with me as well. So feedback is a huge part of Atlassian, whether it's for developers or recruiters.
Just part of the culture.
It's part of the culture, but feedback can go two ways, and I think it's also when you're looking at feedback, it's not a reason to be an arsehole. You have to give feedback from a place of empathy as well. I'm going back to the candidates here. If I'm delivering feedback to somebody,
disappointing. They're emotional. You've got to be.
They've invested.
Yeah,
they could have invested over 5 hours of interviewing. If you get to the final stages,
telling their friends,
preparation they've done for all the anxiety,
dreaming as well. Like, I
that's
think of a world that I'm working there. If any kind, it's a real sensitive situation.
The least you can do is give them that honest, heartfelt feedback that is actionable for them to be able to be more successful next time. That's really important. And I think the best candidate experiences are always the candidate experiences where they get the role right. But I think it's just as valuable to understand where you fell short or what you could have done better. So next time you will nail that role with us.
Is it a good moment when the recruitment marketers are forming some sort of relationship with the hiring managers?
Yeah, absolutely. Some really good examples when you have hiring managers engaged with employee branding or their TA folks, whoever it might be, is when they're able to talk about their specific team, their challenges, all those sort of great things really does drive attraction. It's a bit more interactive, right? Where you can see the team, the work, all those things. I also love it when they do AMAs as well, right? I think that really...
AMAs, for people who don't know what that is?
Ask me anything. Yeah. About talent branding and recruitment.
AMA.
AMA.
This is an AMA.
AMA. Yes. Yeah. That always drives really good responses from candidates and in engagement. Yeah.
Yep. Nice. Well, It's been a fascinating conversation. Will, any final questions?
Now I have to think of a final question.
Right. You've let me off the hook here. I like this. What's my favourite colour? It's blue.
Blue. I thought it might be good. What's your shirt choice?
Yes.
Was there anything was there anything you thought we'd ask you that we haven't? Or was there something you didn't want to talk about that we haven't asked you? Or did want to talk
approved.
about? That's all right.
Yeah. Anything that you haven't asked me that I thought you might? Not really.
I've got a better question.
Yeah. Okay.
What's the look? We've got employee brand and recruitment marketing people listening. What's the one piece of advice you can give to them as a recruiter?
Yeah. Great. I'll turn it on its head a little bit and speak to the recruiters out there and tell them to be the voice of the candidate to the employee branding team. And I think employee branding folks need to understand the candidates really well. Not what they think they know about the candidates, but get involved with your recruiters. Get, boots on the ground, understand what is happening, what works well, what doesn't. Why people are turning down,
Sit in an interview?
Sit in an interview, maybe, but understand why, what are the quality of candidates coming through? Why are they failing? All those great things, right? And then they can maybe tailor the messages and then experiment with what works well and what doesn't work well. And don't be afraid to be bold. Do an Atlassian van or something similar. Maybe a helicopter next time.
So in summary, lean in.
Lean in.
You really want them to lean in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask a bonus question.
Oh, great.
You seem like it's interesting that quite a few of the things you've said today are focused on like authenticity, transparency, and not giving people BS. You don't want to oversell. You want to be quite direct. But I can tell there's a part of you that really likes bravery and fun and creative. What's your sort of personal view, not necessarily Atlassian's, but what's your personal view of like what an employer brand should do, like the balance of aspiration versus excitement, and like what do you think makes a great employer brand maybe?
It's authenticity. Don't pretend to be funky, exciting ping pong tables and Nerf guns if that's not what the reality is. Know what your audience is and sing to that, really.
So authenticity is really the king.
It's absolutely king, Be yourselves.
You want quality, though. You want to be in quality conversations. So you don't want... I'm assuming I'm putting words in your mouth, but if I was a recruiter, I wouldn't want loads of people. I just want quality.
On the right ones.
So a combination of it being content that's repelling people as much as I pull.
The right material for your right audience. That's it. Don't try and please everyone. Please the people that you want to bring in through the door.
Getting as specific as possible.
Yeah.
I mean, this may age the recording, but I'm interested in, like, in the last month or so, or maybe looking ahead at the next 6 months, have you noticed a shift in what is driving candidate behavior or what messages are resonating more? I mean, there's a lot happening in the market.
There's a lot happening in the world at the moment,
exactly, right? So
Yeah.
are you noticing any themes that are coming through, like you're having to focus on more areas, you're getting more questions around certain areas?
Yes.
Is there anything that you touch on there?
There's a number of organizations, I won't mention them by name, that are enforcing people to spend more time in the office, that they have been on the bandwagon of trying to draw more diversity into their organization. And then they've dropped it, really, and it doesn't suit candidates very well that sign up for one thing and then you change the rules on them. So the messaging from Atlassian is that we're very committed to a remote first workforce, and then we have the tools to be able to do that. Really helps. Some candidates want to go into the office, right, and then there are options for them to spend more of that face-to-face times, particularly in other states, but we also have, WeWork type things elsewhere as well. So they get that face-to-face time.
Yeah,
but
nice.
that's the messaging that really works for me, and what I'm hearing from candidates of why they're wanting to talk to us more and more.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. Great. Thanks, Steve.
I really enjoyed the conversation. I thought it was
Always
fascinating. Thank you, Steve, for sharing.
Thank you for
It's a
having
great
me.
perspective. Thanks, mate.
Cool, groovy.